Hello. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? Everyone's hanging in there, doing well. My name is David L. Mitchell, and I'm going to be talking about a very serious topic. Hopefully, there will be some good takeaways from it. Again, thanks for joining in. I appreciate you for taking the time and doing so, joining the broadcast today. Adjusting the camera a little bit. Thank you very much. And again, thank you all for being here. I'm going to talk about something serious. I'm going to talk about sorrow, sorrow and pain. Yes, sorrow and pain. And we all deal with it. And this is something that we all will eventually experience, have experienced, will experience, or come with it right now. Pain and sorrow, pain and sorrow. And it can make you so miserable. It takes out of you where you can't even see the future, you can't even deal with just the basic things. Now, we're going to talk about several different things. Thanks again for joining in. Uh, Justin, a little bit here with the camera. Thanks for bearing with me. I appreciate you very much. Uh, you're part of the community, part of the family here. And again, thank you. Pain and sorrow, sorrow and pain. Well, we're going to talk about several things. We're going to talk about the definition of pain and sorrow, in which many people know it and feel it. But we're going to give some really specific technical definitions for it. We're also going to talk about how we're all touched by the purpose, if there is any purpose or perspective on pain and sorrow, and some takeaways on how it can give us a certain meaning or how we can cope with pain and sorrow and how we can try to go forward with it, taking it, for example, using it as a lemonade and turn into, using it as lemons and turn into lemonade. How we can try to see it from another perspective where it can give us a sense of purpose and help us move forward in a positive, productive, even successful way. Um, so, what is pain and sorrow? Well, pain is, by definition, physical suffering or discomfort caused by illness or injury. Physical discomfort caused by illness or injury. That's the definition of pain. The definition of sorrow is a feeling of deep distress caused by disappointment, loss of some kind, or something terribly misfortunate happening. So, those are the general definitions of physical pain, physical suffering, and sorrow, or mental pain. Yes. These are the things that we know and feel. So, we all have been touched by it. So much going on in the world from a macro level, distress, even on down to a micro level, experiencing day to day anxieties, day to day distress, day to day anguish from something that you experienced or experiencing that is really paralyzing you, making you feel, I can't see past the pain, I can't see past the sorrow. And that is something that is so gripping, that is something that really just, puts you in a place of hopelessness and makes you feel as though that, you know, there's no need to try to do anything about it because this is how life is. This is how things are. This is reality. And that is something that will, just turn your world upside down in a number of different ways. So we ask ourselves, is there a reason for this? Is there a purpose behind the sorrow and pain? And many have come to the conclusion that no, there isn't, because you know they don't see any good things transpiring when they try to do good. Why do good people suffer? Why is it so much going on? Uh, you know, they don't see any kind of real tangible effects with regards to trying to hang in there, trying to do well. Uh, all they see is, again, day after day, moment after moment, people being hurt, being killed, innocent people. As we see many children are being killed innocently, uh, just for nonsensical, senseless reasons, senseless violence, which is terribly unfortunate. Or even just something on a more micro level, you're just dealing with that, you know, arrogant, nasty boss or neighbor or relationship. We know all these different things, money woes, illnesses, you know, just so many different things that really gets us. It's like a punch, physically or mental punch. So we say, okay, I can't deal with it. Well, is there a purpose behind it? Now, this is an interesting perspective with regards to sorrow and pain, that we really had to see this from this perspective, or at least consider it, that there is something bigger happening that we just don't see at the time. The bigger the pain, the bigger the purpose, the bigger the situation, the bigger the reason. We just don't see it at the time. I'm pretty sure that you can think back just for a moment, jog your memory, and you can see to yourself that it could have been a loss of a job, loss of maybe a loved one, something so terrible and tragic happened to you years ago, maybe months ago. And you've seen how you didn't really see another day, another way. But someone seen something in you that they found the encouragement to say, you know what, that they came up to you and said, I really appreciate how you're hanging in there. I really, admire the way that, you're dealing with a certain circumstance. It could have been just one person. And that's one of the reasons why that we go through these different things, not so much for ourselves, but to help enlighten someone else. We don't want to feel that pain. We don't even care about helping someone else, but it's usually for another reason. It's bigger than us that we don't see at the time. Life chooses us sometimes. We don't choose it, meaning this, that no one wants to experience pain and sorrow, but in order to have something to offer, you have to be tested sometimes. Without tests, there's no testimony. Without the pain and sorrow, there's no experience in you relating it to someone, either verbally or by your daily actions, the way you continued on persevering throughout life. People are motivated, people are encouraged, and they will never tell you sometimes, but they are anyway, by the way that you handle a situation, whether on a large scale level or a small scale level. Let's talk about large scale level where you lost someone. I mean, it's no greater pain than the death or the loss of someone. Death is the greatest enemy. But someone seeing the way that you dealt with it, you went through the anguish, the crying, the pain, the grief, and they observed it. People learn by our actions, oftentimes children. And that's the whole point I'm making, that the generations that are coming up after us, the children, the young people, they look at us as adults, as not only as leadership figures, role models, but examples on how to live life, deal with certain circumstances in a positive way. So, and how you can move on from that. And that's one of the biggest reasons, because it's not necessarily us, but the younger generation needs something to see in order for them to deal with things. When we were younger, when we were all children, we seen how our adults, parents, uncles dealt with things, either in a positive way or in a negative way. We were molded by that. Usually, when they dealt with something that was painful and dealt with it in a productive way through encouragement, even though it was painful, we got something from that. I can attest to that myself. They had to experience that so that others could see it and be encouraged by it. Now, if they experience something and they didn't deal with it in the most productive and healthy way, we still got something from it. We either could have learned how to deal with the circumstance, or we could have learned how to not deal with the circumstance. We can always learn something from someone. Hopefully, it is something that is helpful and positive. We can learn how to do things in a good way, or we can learn how not to do things. But that's one of the reasons why we experience pain and sorrow, is because it's how we're going to deal with it to have an effect on the younger generation, even our peers, as well as anyone else who needs someone to see how to go forward. So it's not all about us all the time, even though we can't see it at the moment. We don't want to see it. Many people are selfish. Hey, that's understandable. Many people just want to live their own life and do all they can for themselves, and amidst the pain, sorrow, whatever, don't care about that. They just want to get through this life and do whatever, live happily ever after, as they say, and that's it. But there is a purpose in the pain and the sorrow. If we were going through all the good times, in which we all like to go through good times, no one wants to, again, experience pain and sorrow, but it's a part of life. We wouldn't know how to really deal with difficulties, sorrow, and stress and pain. Probably in a really good way, because we probably didn't have the strength, the know-how, experience to do it. So again, the bigger the pain is for a bigger reason, not for ourselves. But let me circle that back to ourselves. When we do that, we keep hanging in there, we are encouraged, we are an example to others, even though we know it, we become more strengthened, either from a faithful way, from a mental way, or even from a physical way. It develops us, it develops that character, it develops different other traits and attributes. We don't see it at the time, at the interim. So you say, well, David, how do you deal with it during the interim, during the time being? Well, again, it takes encouragement, it takes time, it takes practice, it takes prayer, it takes meditation, it takes help from all different sources, so that you can, again, try to sustain yourself during that moment of pain. Because it's no escaping the pain fully, but it's finding in that moment something that can help you to see it in a different light or different perspective. As many will say, the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, at the very moment something happens, you're feeling that pain and sorrow. No, it's you're not going to feel it. But I'm saying time, in steps. That's why I bring forth this video so that, again, you may have experienced some sort of loss or dealing with some sort of pain. And I want you to come across this video, and maybe it happened a month ago, a year ago, or just the other day. And you're just starting to calm down a little bit. Maybe getting, taking a deep breath amidst the pain. Maybe the smoke cleared, so to speak, a little bit, but it's still painful. Hopefully, you can find yourself and find a time to take in this video, as well as many other videos, positive things, enriching things, upbuilding things to help you to cope, to hang in there, and hang in there with a perspective, hang in there with some sort of purpose. Because if there's no purpose in it, then there's no reason. I can see why no one will want to try to feel positive or do whatever they can to hang in there doing so much great pain and sorrow. It's not even natural to feel that way because you're so swamped and overwhelmed by that particular situation. So it's a very sophisticated, very marvelous way of being thoughtful when you're taking in that type of mindset or just considering at the moment how this pain and sorrow is for a bigger purpose that you're not seeing or can't see. You can't see because of the pain sometimes, but because of the reason outside of you. That's why this sorrow and pain and these different unfortunate experiences transpire or happen. Again, we don't choose life, it chooses us sometimes. Meaning that, you know, it, things happen, misfortunes. But in those misfortunes, and we all plan out to have a happy life, we try to, get away from any kind of pain and, shortcuts, whatever. But life chooses us. So we try to do all we can to stay away from pain. But again, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So since it does happen, we can choose to let it eat us up, eat away at us, or we could try to have a different, interesting perspective on it that is helpful, that is tried and tested, and beneficial to not just others, but to you. And you don't see it now, but it will manifest. So, that's taking from a consideration mindset lemon and turn into lemonade, great tasting lemonade, so to speak, or taking a bad situation and making it to something positive. Now, again, dealing with the interim, I talked about meditation, talked about finding, sources of fulfillment. Well, there's a spiritual perspective. Now, I didn't say a certain religion, I didn't say a certain faith, but something bigger than us, uh, some sort of higher power. I believe that one should consider connecting with that because sometimes some things are they're too much for us. So we need to, again, meditate, seek out something that's bigger than us. Spirituality is one of the keys. We're not just flesh and blood. We have an inner core in us. We're mammals, but we're not animals. Animals have they're uh, instinctual beings. We're beings of purpose. We want to know the where, the when, the how, purpose of life. Is there a purpose in life? That sets us apart from primates, from animals. So there's a deeper connection with us and nature, with us and all the things around us. So tap into that. Now, myself, I read the scriptures uh, time to time for encouragement, for finding different spiritual insight on different things. But that's not to put that out there to people. The whole point is finding something deeper that's positive, that you can relate to. And I say, seek it out, do some research. Because again, we're not just mammals, we're not just flesh and blood that gets up and eats, sleeps, work, and whatever we do. And then, boom, we're gone. No, there's more to it than that. That's why there is another reason, purpose behind the sorrow and the pain that we experience, in which we don't want to, but it happens. So, those are some of the perspectives, interesting insights that I like to share from ones who are currently dealing with pain and sorrow or will in the future. Looking at it from a perspective, again, as not just something that is happening or affecting you, but others around you. It's a part of leaving a legacy as well. Again, case in point, you have children, nieces and nephews. You could be a teacher, you could be a coach, you could be just a regular, everyday person getting through in life. There are people observing you. Yes, just like you observe people yourself and found some sort of influence for the good or for the bad. We learn from each other. So why not try to consider and take the opportunity in this pain and sorrow and find ways on how you can become healthy, become stronger, try to consider to deal with it in a way. Whereas onlookers, right, onlookers are watching you, observing you, not what you say, but what you do. Yes, not what you say, but what you do. And those people that you love or love you or total people just, in your neighborhood that you don't even maybe speak with, observing you and saying, you know what? I've seen that person experiencing something, or you know, they dealing with a tragedy, loss, what have you, and they're getting up every day. They're taking a step at a time. That will cause them to maybe think, just for a moment, just for a moment, just for a moment, and say to themselves, you know what? Well, what makes that person kick? What makes that person hang in there? What makes that person, try to go get through life each day amidst all that pain and sorrow? That will get them to maybe to think. By doing that, you've done an enormous amount. If you can get someone to think or to consider, now it's not going to have to be hundreds of people or dozens of people, one or two people, and one or two people throughout your lifetime can see how you are dealing or have dealt with a situation in your pain and sorrow that caused them to reflect on it, consider something, maybe consider making a change in their life that will produce good things in the world and good things, and it will, you know, become contagious, and someone else will be encouraged by it. And that's how, you know, wonderful and powerful things happen. All because of your situation, and you never knew about it. They never even told you, but they were inspired or encouraged by you anyway. again, by your conduct, because people watch what you do, not what you say. That's much more powerful. So, in that way, that's some of the reasons why the pain and sorrow is, even though it's something to think about. So again, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult. Reward yourself. Do something great. I compliment you for just having the consideration and taking the time to view the video, watch the video, and just to maybe reflect on some things. Maybe you can't right now because the pain and sorrow is so tremendous. But in time, perhaps you can come back to this video or share this video and get a few takeaways or just one takeaway. And that's my job to do that, to give you that perspective. And with that one thing, that one seed, that's all it takes, is one seed for something to blossom. And then more and more things can possibly come out of that. So again, let this one seed, this one video, and I have many other videos that are dedicated to helping ones become the best version of themselves. Please check them out. Please support the channel in any way you can possible. You're supporting it now by watching it, but in order for it to continue to grow, and I want it to be even much bigger and more fabulous for you to get great things, continue to get great things out of it, please support the channel in any way possible. So with that, everyone, again, stand 10 toes down, stand firm, hang in there, doing a great job just by taking the time to consider things. I'm rooting for you. And until next time, peace out, peace sign. Try not to let that pain and sorrow take everything out of you. It's hard, it's difficult. I know, I know, I know. It really is. But remember, the bigger the pain, sometimes the bigger the reason. We just don't see it at that particular moment. Yes. And just also to add before in conclusion, many of our great, well-known leaders, for example, to use a term, didn't choose leadership roles. It chose them. One comes to mind is Martin Luther King. He didn't want to be this leader, civil rights, but it chose him, and he paid the ultimate sacrifice, as well as many people. But see how his sterling example of the way he lived his life, the way he encouraged others, affected so many people in a positive way. Not that we ever will, experience the greatest of sacrifices, and that's the loss of our lives due to something. Hope that doesn't happen. But again, whatever it is, people have in that pain and sorrow and that trial and that test, all those different things. And there are many different people throughout history, very, very, very well known and not very, very well known, that someone or someone's others have gotten something out of their life and the way they produce things. So their pain, their sorrow resulted in something. It resulted in something that was pretty glorious and magnificent. It just didn't happen at that time. And if you can, think about that and how down the road you see positive results. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I'm Dave Mitchell with you. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, one love, you're the best. Take care.